Okay, guys, welcome to another edition of the Sales Confidence podcast. As you're all aware, if you've watched before, and if you're not, our vision is to build the world's largest B2B sales community, elevate the sales profession, and help sales professionals to be the best that they can be at each stage of their career through achieving peak performance, mindset awareness, and positive well-being. Our aim as a business is to unlock the heart, mind and story behind the founders, sales leaders and industry experts that help elevate the sales profession. James Ski, our CEO and founder, he's focused on bringing out the authentic story of your journey by uncovering the DNA to understand how it drives your decisions, thinking and dreaming to inspire and educate and motivate our listeners. Look, the interview promises to be fun and engaging, as well as just giving the chance to share your company and personal perspective on the future of sales, Nazma. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest, podcast guest this week, and it's Nazma Qurban. Nazma is Cognism's award-winning Chief Revenue Officer. So she's been overseeing the company's revenue functions. She joined Cognism in 2016 as its first employee. Initially in a business development role before being promoted to VP of Sales and latterly to CRO. Nazma leads Cognism's highly successful sales team and was instrumental in building the revenue system for the business. Managing the entire sales process, Nazma has accredited with overseeing 600% growth in revenue in 2018 and took the company from 2.5 million to 7 million AAR. Outside of the day-to-day responsibilities, Nazma is a popular and influential figure in the B2B SaaS community. I'm sure a lot of you know her face and have heard of her previously, and she regularly gives presentations at international sales and SaaS conferences on topics that are close to her heart, such as developing go-to-market strategies, driving success, how to grow a tech company from start-up to scale-up, and how to build and manage a high-performing sales team. Nazma is a frequent guest on various podcasts and webinars throughout the SaaS and sales community. Again, just to give you another tip of the hat, Nazma was recognised with several high-profile awards recently. 2018, she was included in the top women leaders in SaaS by the SaaS Report. The same year, Nazma was voted as one of the top 50 UK sales leaders by Sales Confidence. Nazma was also recognised as an international woman in tech by We Are Tech Women. Sales Confidence voted her as one of the top 10 sales leaders in SaaS, and in 2019, global top salesperson by Survey Sparrow. So a pretty extensive list of accolades there, Nazma. So just to touch on a little bit about Cognism. So Cognism, as far as I understand, is the world's leading all-in-one globally compliant prospecting solution. So it's powered by patented AI technology, and it provides organizations with compliant B2B data and a suite of sales acceleration tools to help action that. So Cognism enables its worldwide business customers to find and deliver new revenue faster. So Nazma, over to you now. What are you most excited about today?
So what am I most excited about? I'm excited every day. I think that there's always things to be excited about. So for the listeners out there, currently we are in officially, I'd say, week 2 of work from home, following the pandemic that we are all experiencing. I'm excited to see how the teams and businesses out there are thinking outside the box and how they are changing the way that they're thinking and the way that they're working to ensure that they are still running successful businesses and how they can make the most of this opportunity that we have. So
sure. Yeah. Sure. Well, I mean, from my perspective, I've been having conversations with a number of sales professionals, sales leaders. Everybody's utilising the time pretty well. I think everybody's recognise that it's an unusual situation and recognise that it's certainly not ideal professionally, but I think a lot of people have adapted, and I think there's been a lot of knowledge sharing and people helping each other to be more productive. So I actually think that when we come out the other side of this, it's going to be really positive, and there's going to be some new norms in the terms of the way we work and how we trust our workforce, etc. So, but yeah, really interesting topic. I guess I'll get into some of the questions because our viewers are looking to pick your brain and get into your mind a little bit as a sales leader. So I guess I'll kick off with, what is the first thing you think about when you wake up, Nazma?
Okay, so when I wake up, I try not to think about anything. So what I do is I jump out of bed. Well, I'd like to think I do. Sometimes I drag myself out of bed. I have a journal. It's called a 5-minute journal, and I grab it and I plant myself onto a sofa, and the first thing that I think about once I've opened it is, what are the 3 things that I'm grateful for? And the reason why I do that is because, like, it's really easy to let the days get lost in the days and have all of these emotions that you carry with you, whether it's work situations or whether it's personal circumstances, or you keep yourself occupied with thoughts around certain situations. And I feel like it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have like 2 bad days, but when it gets to like the 3rd day and you're still thinking about the same thoughts, I think it could be quite dangerous. And so for me, when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to be holding the same emotions that I did the day before. And so this is a really good way for me to like take a step back and really think about the things that I'm grateful for. And then it shifts my mindset into one of a positive mindset. And so I start off my day thinking about the things that I am grateful for. I've been doing this for about 1.5 years now, and it's been life-changing. I feel like it's just like I control like my emotions and how I start my day, and I'm not thinking about things that have happened, whether they're good things or bad things, or bothered about a conversation, because it's just channeled. It's a positive start to my day. So that's the first thing that I do. I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. And then I follow up with 3 things that will make my day great. So I start looking forward to the day ahead and start thinking about what would actually make this day really good. And that's my process that I have, that I follow religiously.
That's great. Probably something I could take from that, actually. I am guilty of going straight to my emails and social media the minute I wake up, and the more time goes on, the more I recognise that that's probably unhealthy, and I should probably start my day in a more positive way, and maybe take a leaf out of your book and utilise some of that thinking. So thanks for that. I guess it leads on quite nicely to where do you get your motivation, your inspiration from, Nazma?
Okay, so my motivation, inspiration, motivation, I guess that's slightly different. I think that my actually both my motivations and inspirations have changed over time, and they've evolved. The things that used to motivate me when I was 16 to when I started my first job in sales, to when I started a role at Cognism, and through till today, they've all changed. So I've had different motivators. There was a time in my life where I was motivated by maybe proving people wrong, because when I started, I'd never had any experience when I started at Cognism, and so I was very focused on just like executing and ensuring that I was successful in my job. And now that I feel like I've proven like the initial stage, I mean, my motivations now are really, because now I have a team, I'm definitely motivated, and like I'm inspired by them because they are super hardworking and they're super smart. So that's what motivates me. When I wake up in the morning and when I'm planning my day, I think about that. That motivates me because I know that there's people that are dependent on me, that need me, and they need that motivation, they need inspiration, and I understand that a lot of that does come from me. So I think today it's that, but I do think that things change over time, and your motivation and your inspiration, what inspires you, changes, and sometimes it takes like a new role, or it takes the new phase in your life. But it's just like important to just think about the things that mean a lot to you. And for me, sometimes it's like a normal day. I'm inspired by, just doing a certain project or, achieving my targets. And sometimes I just wake up like with a knot in my stomach where I feel like I have this like almost like fear. So it's a motivator, but it actually comes from not a pleasant feeling. And I think to myself, oh, well, maybe I hadn't worked as much as I'd wanted to work, in the last week or the day before, and then I feel like, oh, am I living like the best life that I can live? So I think right now one of my motivations is like definitely the team and the company, but also for me to just live like a rich and fulfilled life, that there's never a point that I wake up and I think, oh, I could have done more, I could be more, I want to be more, and I want to be. And I think that definitely inspires me, that and motivates me, that I want to do more. I never want to feel like I haven't done enough.
Sure. I love that, that you're looking for balance and you're looking to have a full life that you enjoy, and a really impressive career as well. So I think a lot of people could take away a lot from that. I think a lot of people are struggling with work-life balance and sort of having that feeling that home life is as good as it can be, but equally you're pushing yourself as hard as you can professionally and getting where you need to be. So really interesting to hear that. I think it echoes some of the changes that I've been through over the years in terms of maybe being motivated by money at times, and more latterly being motivated by how my life looks on the day to day, similar to you, Nazma. So I think that there's a lot people could take from that. You touched on it a moment ago, but you didn't go into any detail, Nazma. What was your very first experience of sales?
My very first, I feel like all salespeople start selling at a very young age, right? When they're trying to convince their parents to buy them, that game, that console, or the new Barbie. My first professional experience of sales is very interesting. So I was 15 years old. I think that was the legal age to start working. And so I'm from a cute town called Slough, where The Office is actually filmed. And so it's actually one of Slough's now recognised as like where The Office was based. And in that same building, it was called Crossbow House. I was working on the floor underneath, below where The Office was being filmed. But what I was doing was very Sloughish. I was basically calling, so it was B2C. I was calling individuals. I was using a BT phone book, and they'd rip out pages, and I was calling them and selling timeshares, appointments for timeshares. So that was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it as a 15-year-old. Just calling them, and I was rejected. I don't know, I just got a buzz from that. So that was actually my first kind of flavor into sales, where I'm selling someone else's kind of proposition, I guess, and not just selling something that I want for myself. So that was my first experience in sales.
Okay. I know the industry a little. It's I'm sure that was a baptism of fire at 15.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for that. And so what did you do that made you successful at each stage of your career? And if you could, I'd like it if you could share any sort of notable transitions that you made.
So can you say that question again?
Yeah, sure. What did you do that made you successful at each stage of your career? And if you could, maybe share some notable transitions you've made, maybe from VP to CRO or before that.
Okay, so I would say that I have not been always successful in my transitions, and nor has it been like smooth sailing. But the things that have been constant have definitely been like focusing on the now. And so like thinking about the day and just giving each day 100% rather than thinking forward and, thinking myself as a sales director when I was an SDR. I was very focused on my job and executing on my job. So I'm still very much with the same mindset, and that's been constant. The other thing that has been constant is like a self of gratitude. And so me feeling like I am grateful to have that job, have that responsibility, and that I'm learning. has also been very constant, and so that I'm not thinking too forward, nor am I disgruntled, but perhaps I didn't get the promotion, or I didn't get the role that I'd applied for or I interviewed for. And so even when things didn't work out the way that I did, I was very focused on executing at that moment of time, rather than thinking and daydreaming about what's to come, because we're all daydreamers. I mean, we're all very ambitious, and we are daydreamers because that's the reason why we are where we are. But it's very important to kind of execute on today. Otherwise, you're just going to dream and wish your life away. So it's all about execution and focusing on achieving those targets in the day.
I couldn't agree more. It's something that we champion with our sales team of Sales Confidence. So if you're not executing, you're not moving forward, right? So thank you for that, Nazma. Look, for our viewers, we've obviously got a number of sales leaders on here who will be keen to hear from you, but equally SDRs, AEs, and people at all stages of their career. So keen to share with the audience, what do you think are the attributes that you hire for in a salesperson?
Who do I attribute? Okay, so this is really interesting because it's an interesting question, especially for myself, because I didn't hire a salesperson until I started Cognism, and because it was a startup and now it's evolved to a scale up. Actually, the different attributes, they've changed throughout the journey. So the individuals that I perhaps would hire today are specifically good for the role, for the company as it stands today. However, those individuals I may not have hired for when we were in startup phase. The things that are constant in those attributes, I would say, are hard work, for sure. I guess that's a given. Someone who is like ambitious, and when I say ambitious, as in like they want to be in a sales role, and because a lot of the times I'm hiring very young professionals in the first role, second role in sales, but they want to grow a career in like sales, or they want to learn those attributes because it's going to serve them in what their ambition is. So their ambition could be that they want to run their own business, and they understand that learning how to sell is very important, and so that is what's going to motivate them, because sales is a very difficult job. It's one of the most difficult jobs there are in the industry. And so therefore, when you are being rejected, what is going to keep them motivated? Because hiring is actually quite simple, and having somebody who is like works really hard, like you can find that in any role, but I feel like because it's such a difficult role and you get rejected, you really want somebody who is ambitious and want to learn those skill sets for their long-term objectives. And those objectives, like I said before, can be starting their own business, but it could also be that they want to develop a career in sales, and they understand that they need to have these fundamental core skills. So that's definitely something that I look for, because I need somebody long-term. I need somebody who is like dedicated to putting in the time, and not throwing in the towel, which we see because of the high attrition rate in general when it comes to the industry kind of attrition rates for sales individuals. And then what else do I look for? It's just somebody who who is curious and like wants to learn, like is always like learning and is dedicated to like developing this skill set. Because things change all the time, whether it's like the industry that you work in, or whether it's like your role. If you're an SDR or you're a salesperson, you might be learning a demo or you might be doing training, but actually if you're going to be successful, you're going to be constantly learning about the competitors, about the industry, about perhaps a new product, and you really need to consume that information. And in order for you to be super successful, you definitely need to have like a desire to learn and to get better.
Agreed. We hire in a similar way. I would say a number of things you touched on lead towards sort of the attitude of the person rather than their initial skill set. And we hire fairly entry level salespeople, sales confidence as well. And that's exactly what we're going after is their attitude, their willingness to learn, their mindset coming into that role. So that's really good to hear, and probably good for a lot of the junior salespeople who don't have a lot of experience that are watching, but they're really hungry and looking to develop themselves in their career. So
the one thing
thank you for
the one thing that I would add, actually, and this is something that I have noticed about myself, the one thing that I really like or that I find is what I really enjoy about like sales individuals within within Cognism, it's just attitude, absolutely having the right mindset, because you could teach somebody if they're willing to work, they've got the right attitude, and the business is happy to like mentor them and coach them, then that's a perfect formula. But also what's really important is that I really like positive people. I like people that smile. I like people that walk into a room and like bring in that energy, because there's going to be times when I'm not going to have I'm not on my A game because I've had, something happen, or there's another person who's in the office that's not having a great month. And so it's really important to surround yourselves with very like positive, upbeat, smiley individuals, because it really does brighten up the day. So
sure. I couldn't agree more. Just circling back to obviously Cognism and the company you're leading, or leading revenue function. What's the fundamental DNA of Cognism?
The fundamental DNA. So I feel like Cognism is a very fun company, and yes, we do. Us as a business, we are, we've been relatively successful because we've got a great solution that really helps businesses with their sales and marketing functions and help generate revenue. But actually, what makes it really what like the DNA is really about the people. We are very big on culture. And when I say culture, I mean like people. So I do believe that you can have like the best technology in the world, and you can have the best sales engine in the world. But actually what really makes a company successful are the individuals. And so one thing that I feel like Cognism has allowed is an environment, a culture where you can be yourself and you can be completely authentic. And I certainly have, coming into this role, have a CEO who, allows me to be myself completely authentically. And I think that it's seen in my work and it's seen in my performance, because when people are themselves, that's when they deliver, and that's when they perform at their best. And because I've been given this sort of, this opportunity where I'm working and where I can be completely authentic, I give the same back to those who join Cognism, and so everyone can be themselves. And I think that's why we've got such a great culture, and there's we don't hold anyone back, and we're very open about being completely authentic, and just having fun in the process. When you're being authentic and you're having friends, you create friendships a lot quicker because you're authentic. But we have a very pleasant sales environment, so it's not dog eat dog, and we end up spending so much time together. And I think the DNA is like we're authentic with each other, and also we have fun. Everything is fun, and it's not just this, when we're going through bad times, and especially now I'm still enjoying and loving work, and I was quite concerned, if I'm going to be completely honest, that are we still going to maintain and retain that kind of culture where the one thing that I love about my job is the fact that I work with people. We don't even do work from home. I mean, it's something that we recently implemented, but I still chose to come into the office, and I was concerned about whether that's going to be taken away from me. But actually, we do our video calls, and we have still so much fun together, and I think that's definitely like part of who we are.
Sure, I think that's brilliant. I've actually met a number of your team, and I think that's quite evident that it's a fun and nice place to work with a good culture. I think everybody exudes that works at the company. So just for everybody who's watching who isn't aware of Cognism, I mean, I've used the product and it's brilliant, but obviously some of our viewers won't have. So can you give us a quick rundown of what Cognism do?
Okay, so simply, I'd say that we are like the best GDPR compliant B2B contact data provider or platform. So what we have is a database of 400 million B2B profiles globally, and we have a platform that allows businesses to filter and find their ideal customer profile, and then they can engage with them either using our platform. So we do have a like prospecting tool, or they can use other technologies to outreach to their prospects. So the core of what we do is contact data, yeah, that's what we do.
Brilliant. Okay, so for all those watching, if you're looking for a groundbreaking prospecting tool, Contact Nazma. Nazma, what's leading on from that? What's the ambition of the company? What's the ambition of Cognism?
So this is an interesting question, because I feel like when we first started, it was and I say this quite a lot, like it was just get your first 10 customers in. That's all I'm focused on. Just get the first 10 in. After you get the first 10, okay, let's keep these 10 and let's grow this to 30. And when we get 30, let's understand like our ICP a bit better. And so although, you know, I would, and I'm sure my CEO's vision is to just grow the company so that we're able to cater like globally for different businesses in different countries, that we are able to actually cater for those for everybody, and we can basically add value to every person, you know, globally. And I think with what we do and the way that we have like our vision, like as a sales and marketing organization, is definitely like very focused on like we have short-term goals, and I think that's been very consistent from the beginning, and that's allowed us to like focus on the now. But if I was talking about the vision, I was talking long-term, and I think our vision is to be able to like add value the way that we've been able to add value to European companies globally. So we've opened an office in New York, and you know, we've smashed all of our targets since like we opened it in September. So things are moving in the right direction, but I think long term we just want to be able to serve this technology and platform to everyone that would be looking to generate more revenue and bring new customers on.
Sure, big ambitions, but I have no doubt that you guys will achieve them. So thank you for that. Sort of bringing the conversation forward a little, and really for our viewers, and again to pick your brain and sort of understand a little bit of how you tick, really, I guess. What book that you've read has had the most impact on your sales career to date?
Okay, so I'm an avid reader, but I can't really think of a specific like sales book that has made an impact. And I know that's like, I'm not trying to dodge the question, but in reality, the biggest impact for me in my life have been like self-development books. And so there are so many books out there that have definitely helped me. I'm very much about, over the last few years, I've been very focused on how I think and my and basically thinking when I do think, like when I'm having situations and how I'm dealing and responding to those situations is really important for me, because it's very easy for me to be creating narratives. And I think for me, over the last few years, the most impactful books have been like The Chimp Paradox or like Untethered Soul, which is an amazing book. And it really helps me understand like the narrative that I'm creating about myself. And so that when I'm having situations at work and in sales, I'm understanding like how I'm responding. And I'm very big on like, I have a situation, life is going to happen. I'm going to have people say no to me. I'm going to have people say yes to me. I'm going to have situations that are very uncomfortable, but the core of what I'm going to be, how I'll be successful, or what the most positive outcome is going to be, very heavily based on how I'm going to respond to the situation. So I personally feel like the best sales books are really like controlling your emotions, because it's a very emotional role, right? And when you're having a bad month, like how are you going to be managing your emotions? Because that is really going to make the biggest impact. The sales books are skills, and those skills I do believe that you can learn on the job, and then of course like you can be implementing and trying new things from reading and from listening to these amazing podcasts, right? But I think like personally for me, the biggest like what's really like impacted me in the last few years has definitely been like books around how I'm thinking about things and the narratives that I'm creating.
Sure. Okay. I think again that pretty much echoes where I am. I have read a number of sales books, but I think I get more from personal development now. So I would agree with that, and I love the way that you linked it back to sort of how you manage yourself and your own emotions in what is a difficult and challenging career at any stage. So I think that's really insightful. Just again for our viewers, and just to get them a little bit of understanding of your mindset, what you look for, and over the years, obviously you've been really successful, and you know what the kind of attributes you might have seen in people that you've worked with. So what are the best salespeople that you come across? How do they look?
They look like, if you go to Vauxhall in Tyndale House, there's a company called Cognism. And that's what good salespeople look like. I honestly do believe like the good salespeople that I've met are ones that are very focused. For sure, like they're focused on the role. They are like curious, they ask questions, and they care. So for me, they're just willing to learn, and they work just hard, like harder than, and like for me personally, you could be as talented as you can, but you know, my success has, if I think about what's the core things that have made me successful, have definitely been like my hard work. And I've been in situations where there's been people, I've been in a room, and like I'm sure a lot of listeners have been, where you're on an assessment day, you're interviewing, or you start your new job, and there's 5 other people that are in the same role. And I'm sitting there thinking, these guys are going to be so much better. We do role plays and they're significantly better. And I think in those situations, I've just put in more time, and I've just dedicated a lot more hours. And I'm a very big believer in the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hour rule. So I think the people that work hard will surpass, because it doesn't matter if someone's doing 8 hours, like 8 hours a day, every day, and then there's another individual that does 10 hours, and there's 2 additional hours per day, you know, over a period of 6 months. That is insane, right? When you think of the hours, I'm really shit at math, so I don't know exactly how much that would equate to, but I do believe like hard work, hard work does pay. Also, that's definitely something that I look at.
Sure.
So I think people that work hard, definitely. Good.
Sure. Okay. Agree with that. You referenced Malcolm Gladwell. I've read that actually. So for the viewers who might want to read that, I believe that's Malcolm Gladwell Outliers is the 10,000 hour rule. So if you want to get a copy of that, it's a great book. I've read it. I echo Nazma's opinion on it. Brilliant. And actually, what you've just touched on, Nazma, is exactly how we run at Sales Confidence. So, you know, if you are in a hard situation, if it's a difficult month, if you've got a fairly big number over your head and you're not tracking against it, we always say hard work's your best friend. So that's what's going to dig you out of that hole, and that's going to provide you with a light at the end of the tunnel. So we completely agree with that. Just moving on. So taking that all into account, what advice would you have for sales professionals who are looking to build a long-term career in sales?
Okay, what advice would I have for someone looking to develop a career in sales, or is in their role, right? Is in a role, and this one's advice. I would say ask for feedback. So, you know, either you ask your manager, hopefully they're giving you feedback. Ask your peers for feedback, and this isn't just like your skill set, but even ask them to do like peer-to-peer like training. So I would say definitely get like your peers. I would ask for feedback from like your prospects. So if you just have a prospect and you lose an opportunity, ask them for feedback. So look, okay, I understand that this isn't the right time, because it could be that it's not about you, but it's still really important just to get that feedback. And even if you win an opportunity and they become a customer, ask them for feedback, because I think that's the only way that you're really going to be able to strive and to kind of like evolve as an individual, if you're constantly like asking for feedback and you're thinking about it, and then you're actually responding to it, in a positive way. Otherwise, you're just going to stay exactly where you are. And be open to feedback as well. Actually, if I think about myself, and when I was younger, I wasn't as open as I probably should have been. And I have a friend who said to me the other day, she said, feedback is a gift. And I was like, wow, it's so true. So ask for feedback. And when you receive feedback, think of it as a gift, because it's going to bring you, it's not going to bring you anything but a positive outcome. And just respond to it as a gift. So that's the advice I'd give.
Brilliant advice. Again, you speak in our language. We advocate sort of self-correction and recognizing where maybe you could do better, or where you're doing really well, and acting on that, whether it's self-correction or doing more of what you're doing well, or whatever it might be. So I couldn't agree more. Okay, so going back to you, your mindset, what makes you tick again, Nazma? I mean, where do you get your confidence from to do what you do?
That's a tough question. That's a pretty loaded question. Where do I get the confidence to? So I would say, so there's like two answers to this. I would say I get my confidence when I am confident in the work that I do, or I feel it and I embody it. It's usually when I know what I'm talking about and it comes from like an authentic place. And so for me, knowing that I'm talking from a place where like I know my stuff, so because I have knowledge or because I've had that experience, definitely that confidence comes from that. But then saying that, how do you get confidence when you haven't had that experience? And I feel like what is like a running theme there is like that knowledge. So I'm confident now because I have the knowledge, because I have the experience, and because I'm talking from a place that's true to me, and whether there's no wrong or right, because it's an experience that I have, and it's the only thing that I have to share. But when I didn't have the experience, I seeked the knowledge. And so whether that seeking of the knowledge is Googling, like literally just Google. And I did that on many occasions. And I honestly say that there were situations where I didn't know what I was doing. And then my CEO would ask me for something. I'm like, oh, give me 2 hours. And I would just like Google. And if there's something that I didn't know, I would spend hours just like learning it, or like at least I have something to think about. And then also just doing it. And even if I fail, at least I know that failed. So I have the knowledge that I did it and it failed. And so just trying and just seeking knowledge. And I think that if you're doing that, then you're definitely you will be able to gain that confidence, because you're building out that, you're building the knowledge, so you're confident enough, right? But there are other things that, we're, having a very candid conversation, but there's other things that I do. And part of, my self-development, I always think about the next version of myself. And when I say that, a lot of people have like these vision boards where they have like things that are like very materialistic, which I did as well, like at one point. But now when I'm thinking about my journey, who I want to be, I basically think about the person that I want to be, like the next level. So for example, if it's anything that I'm not confident about, or something that I don't kind of like, I'm not fully like happy about with myself. So perhaps it's a skill set, or like a personality trait, or like a soft skill. I'll basically just like write it down and like affirm that with myself, and just be like, okay, well, this is the next version for myself. And actually, as I've grown and developed into different roles, I have thought about what is, if I am a CRO, if I do become a CRO, would I be doing the things that I'm doing now? And so even just getting things onto a piece of paper and thinking about the things that I'm not confident about, and then like working towards getting better at that, gives me confidence.
Sure, thank you for sharing. I think that makes absolute sense. So you've developed it over time, essentially, and it's been through trial and error and hard work. And I love that you shared that equally it's been through some failures as well, which we all have. And that leads on quite nicely to my next question, actually. So during your career journey, you touched on it earlier. Have you experienced and overcome hardships? Have there been difficult times? And if any specifically come to mind, it'd be great if you could share.
Of course. I'm sure we've all experienced it. I've had lots of different hardships, and I mean, if I could pinpoint any hardship, I feel like I have this mentality where I'm going to have like difficult situations, and everyone has hardships. There's this one quote which my team are just sick of me hearing me say this, but like 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you respond to it. And I feel like I've had hardships, but I like to feel like I've responded to those situations, and I just move on. and I don't allow those hardships, obstacles become part of my story. It's not part of my narrative, because it's so simple. It's easy, right? Like when you have something something happened to you, and you've come through it, and you're proud that you've come through it. But then for it to become your story, it's almost like it weighs very heavy. And I'm a very big advocate of us creating our own narratives and us creating our own stories, because that in reality is what we're doing in our lives. What we are is just like one story, and so we choose how we are. We choose the things that we think about, and choose what events in our lives have such a huge impact. And those hardships and those obstacles happened. I overcame them, and I'm moving forward, because I'm sure part of my story, and like the focal point of my story, is going to be like the success rather than the hardships. And sorry, I didn't like really like explain like I guess like a specific hardship, and I do want to, because I think that it might be like helpful for people. So because I am human, and I definitely have had like situations where that have been difficult for me. And you know, way back when I was in recruitment, I mean, I wasn't doing well. And when I first took my job as an SDR, just that intermediate period, I worked in my first profession. I studied law at university. I graduated. I decided to go into recruitment, and I wasn't good. And it was a reality. And now I can say it confidently, but at the time I didn't. I just thought I wasn't like great at it, and whether sales was the right thing for me. And there were like multiple reasons why it didn't work out. And I think that was difficult, that I'd chosen a career and I wasn't really good at it. And then I started questioning whether sales was for me or not. And it was just like a multiple reasons why it didn't work out. But that's not part of my story. That's just, it's part of my joy story, but it's not a focal point.
I love that mindset. Thank you for sharing. I guess as one of our final points, and it's quite pertinent to what you just discussed. How do you? Look, sales is a difficult career at any stage. There's stresses, and as we said, there's hardships, and there's highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage your health and well-being through that roller coaster?
So the journal helps for sure, because if I have had a bad day, then the next day I'm just focused on like the positive things. So how do I manage my mindset? I really enjoy the people that I work with, and it's also like really important to be self-aware and understand like how you tick, and the things when you are overwhelmed, like understanding like what the signs are, because I don't think that it's a blanket for everyone. Like when I'm overwhelmed, it's very different to when someone else is overwhelmed, and I react very differently. So really spending time to understand, and this is a really good time because we've got a lot of time, right? Now that we are indoors. But yeah, I would just definitely recommend that people spend time to understand, okay, when I got to that place, what were the telltale signs? And then to like experiment and to figure out like the things that you could potentially do or to think about the things that actually do bring you back to that place of joy. For me, it's just switching off like works. If I'm overwhelmed, I just shut my laptop and I'll just have an early night. I'll just go to bed. I can go to bed at 6 o'clock or like 9 o'clock. I'm not one of those perfect people that go to the gym or like eat very healthily and meditate. And I will be one day, if I'm not right now. But I enjoy my life. I enjoy the work that I do, which consumes most of like my day to day, and it's important to enjoy it because you spend a lot of time doing it. But yeah, just self-aware, understanding when I am in that space where I am overwhelmed and I just need to go to sleep, and then I can just deal with it tomorrow.
Good advice. I think you touched on it a little bit in the beginning with the journal, and I think it's a really good balance. I think it's a really powerful thing to have. And I think if you can get that personal element in line and to a point where you're enjoying life, I think that will shine through in your professional career as well. So, Nazma, I think I'm conscious of time, but I think it's been really helpful. And there's been a lot of insight for our viewers, whatever stage of their career they might be at. Is there anything else you would like to wrap up with or end with for the viewers?
So we're talking about sales confidence, right? And I think you know, if I think about my journey and the journey of those that I work with, because I have some really like incredible individuals in my team, and if I think about like how they got to, you know, having that confidence and being successful, a lot of it is just showing up and just trying, and yeah, so just do. And if there's anything that you want to learn, just go out and seek that knowledge. There's a lot of people, you know, that are available. There's a lot of communities like Sales Confidence that is out there that is helping like create these communities. And so I would definitely say when things really started changing for me, I started being a lot more grateful, and I was just doing. I wasn't like avoiding or just like procrastinating. I just started like just doing, and then like seeking knowledge wherever I can. So that would be like my parting kind of advice.
Well, that's a great point to end on, guys. Just do. I couldn't agree with that more. Nazma, thank you very much for all of your insight today. Guys, if you want to follow Nazma on LinkedIn or another platform, do so. She's got a lot of knowledge to share. Nazma, thank you so much. Great. Best of luck with Cognism going forward, and I'm sure you'll mirror the success you've already had. But lovely to have you, and look forward to seeing you out and about soon.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Alex.
No problem. Take care.